Mark, say hello to everyone.
Good morning, all.
We don't all fit in one box. My name is Max McGillivray from Beanstalk Global. To my left, to my right, up, down, we have the ultimately fantastic Mark Campbell from the AHDB. Mark, just tell us what you do for the AHDB and what the AHDB do for those that everyone knows, but in case they don't know, especially our international viewers, please.
So just in a quick summary, AHDB, the Agriculture and Horticulture Development Board, are a levy body. So we take a levy from farmers and we spend that on knowledge exchange, research, exports, marketing. And essentially, we're there to prevent market failure and better support the industry to make them sustainable. And what I do, so I look after a program called AgriLeader, which is everything surrounding the soft skills leadership management of developing a business.
And Mark and I have been doing this ongoing series for AgriLeader. We've had some fantastic people on, and you must look at the back catalogue and oh my crikey, wait till you see some of the people that we've got coming on in future months, let alone today. And I was just talking about you, Mark, to my team, and they were saying how well we interact. That's what were they saying? You're the salt to my pepper. I'm the Tom to your Jerry. I'm the ant to your deck, but also a bit disappointed because you're the biggest collector of hoodies in the agricultural sector and in the HDB, but you failed us. You're not wearing one of your colourful hoodies today. So we demand them back.
I'll promise for next time I'll have a hoodie on.
So let's get right into it. I've been so looking forward to meeting these two eclectic individuals, both for the way that they so positively come across and also the good that they're doing. Mark, do you want to do the big drum roll and bring them in?
Yeah, no, I'm really pleased that we've got both of the CEOs of a fantastic charity called Jamie's Farm. So gents, please come forward.
Good morning.
Drum roll. So we have invited in, we're going to go, oh God, all of our screens are going potty because everyone is so desperate to see you both. Oh no, we've gone over to Mark. So let's, boys, can you just introduce yourself, please?
My name is Jamie Feiden. I'm founder and co-CEO of Jamie's Farm, and we're here at HQ in Bath.
Yes, and I'm Jake Curtis, recently promoted to co-CEO after 10 years working at the charity. I've worked my way up, and gradually Jamie has seen a bit of good in me, and
a lot.
Yes, we now run the charity together.
Fantastic, and I love your promotion. I love your new office. Tell us about your office today and where you are, please.
Well, we're here in the lambing shed. Lambing's over. It's just a few pet lambs wandering around, but we're right in the heart of the farm at Bath. So as ever, multitasking, looking after these lambs, and with you guys today.
Yeah, and you might see a few interesting things in the background coming through at different points. Potentially some kids hard at work, which would be really great, but also various bits of machinery. So apologies if there's a bit of volume that comes in at different points.
Not a problem. We love the jeopardy, but just to explain to those people listening on the podcast, because we are live on LinkedIn, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitter, and we're also onto our podcast series as well. If it's okay, especially for those on the podcast, I just want to give you a bit of a rah-rah and a bit of background for Jamie's Farm. So Jamie's Farm supports vulnerable young people nationwide to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally through a unique 5-day residential experience and follow-up program. The program is a blend of farming, family, therapy, and legacy. God, I love that, legacy, where children take on real jobs with purpose, punctuated with therapeutic support. The program is in very high demand and delivered at 4 rural farms across the country, near Bath, where the headquarters is, Hereford, Monmouth, and Lewis. Both myself and Mark come from Lewis, so we love the Lewis site, alongside a city farm in Waterloo. Since the charity's inception in 2009, nearly 10,000 young people have been supported with evidence for fewer school exclusions, increased engagement at school, improved well-being, and the development of essential life skills. Guys, when I was just getting this set up this morning, there's so many examples in the UK and also internationally that the more that you can get kids involved within agriculture, and that they can see that with the effort, hard effort, that they can grow things, whether that be cropping or whether that be animals. And this whole element, especially the bit I love, is that the likes of the attendance in schools far improves because they've now got a focus in life. So all credit to you, but let's start from bare bones. Gentlemen, how did this start? How did this idea come out of the box? Hence our title, We All Don't Fit in One Box. Gents.
Well, great introduction. Thank you. If you'd like a job, it's here for you, but you might have to move to this country. Basically, this all began really because I was a child who was really into farming, who sadly didn't have a route into farming because there wasn't a family farm ready to go. So through various twists and turns, I ended up being a teacher in London, but remained a frustrated farmer. And through my experiences teaching in the South Pole of London, down in Croydon, I started to scratch my head about ways that I could bring some of the benefits that I'd had growing up in the countryside to the most vulnerable, the most challenging kids, those who were probably disturbing lessons, learning the least, causing the most havoc. And I thought that hard work on a farm, it seems like a strange thing to suggest, but hard work on a farm for a week, the opportunity to reflect, a different environment could really boost those kids and bring them back with a different outlook. And so that was where all this came from.
And if this was a big multinational, they'd be saying, oh, we need to do a focus group on this. We need to analyze this. We need to see if this works. We need to do some trials. Did you just go for it on a Women of Prayer and hoping that it would work?
Well, the first thing I did is, it's very apt that we're surrounded by pet lambs here, bottle-fed lambs, because the first thing I did was take 2 lambs into the school in Croydon. Hilariously, the tattooed Harley Davidson driving caretaker was the most excited about these lambs. He spent every morning brushing them and got very little done of his job. But also a lot of the very challenging kids in the playground were distracted from fighting and were interested in the lambs. So that was the first thing. And then in 2007, I said to my mum, how about we bring some kids back to the small holding where I grew up? And she extraordinarily said yes. So 2006, those kids came back to the farm, 7 children from that school. And we saw some really profound changes and we just thought maybe we're onto something. So through trial and error, literally, we got going from that point.
Yeah, so listening to the radio this morning, there's going to be more and more of a need for you and other similar organisations. Why do I state that? I've like all of us, well, not as many as you guys, but I've done a number of school presentations on the back of some of the stuff that I've done. And the standard stat comes out that 5 to 6 kids, 5 to 6 out of 10 kids don't know where fruit and veg come from, and you just encapsulate that statement for everything involved around agriculture. If you look where we are, we're filming at the moment in the end of May. We've got some serious economic issues about to come to us. We've got the government are reining back on trying to stop the sale of unhealthy food, and that might be because of economic reasons, or that might be because of the 10, 12 big food companies lobbying the government to stop that. We've got the National Food Strategy that we were all hoping was going to make a difference to create more healthy living, but potentially it's been kicked into the long grass. Gents, that's why we need you more and more to be able to educate the kids so that they're making good choices, whether that be work or whether that be through what they eat. Mark, help me. Do you agree, or is this or am I just being over jingoistic and banging my own drum here?
No, I think I completely agree, and the way that Jake and Jamie have created this offer that not only helps out those challenged young people that don't fit in the box to actually thrive and progress, it also entwines probably very subtly that importance of food and where that food comes from and what you need to eat to be happy, healthy and productive.
because gents, the issue that we do have in the UK is that we are more and more a very urban society, 72 million people, and we're getting more and more isolated from agriculture. And it's no fault of teachers, but a lot of teachers come from an urban background, so they don't understand. So again, it's another reason why we need to educate the teachers as well as the as well as the kids, and not just on healthy eating, but where agriculture comes from. And we'll talk about Mark's program about agri leaders, how we need to attract more people into the sector. But Jake, I understand that you're one of the illustrious few that's actually spoken at a TED event. And at this TED event, you delved into the importance of the 4 Ps. I know what the 6 Ps are, but we won't go down that route. What are the 4 Ps? And firstly, what was the TED talk like? And talk to us about the 4 Ps, please.
Well, I got it, as I do with most of my gigs, when Jamie kind of passed it over to me. So I wasn't invited on my own merit, but in fact, I was introduced as Jamie that day.
Oh, no.
they gave the whole Jamie backstory, and I had to stand up and say, well, actually, that's not me. But I just about managed to recover it. And yeah, you can have a look at it online. You know, I mean, I think one of the things that's most important about what we do, I suppose, and it kind of links into what we were saying before, is that as much as the kids get a lot out of being here in terms of the knowledge about the farm and where food comes from to help them make better choices, that in itself isn't what we're really trying to achieve. Yeah. What we're really trying to achieve through the farm as the vehicle is to ensure these kids see themselves as capable human beings, basically. And sometimes the mistake that's made in school is that the only way that kids see themselves as capable is based on knowledge, essentially. It's just a kind of drilling them with facts. And if you can't just regale them with, you know, return those facts back to the teacher, then you're a failure. And actually on the farm, that's not the way we look at things. We look at kind of, look, are you capable of doing a job and achieving at a job and feeling good about the fact that you've achieved something meaningful in the course of your day? And we set everything up with that in mind. And actually, that's why kids get so much out of it, because these are kids that would otherwise essentially be kind of, you know, lost to society, kind of, employed or with mental health issues, or chucked out of school and involved in crime. And instead we're saying, look, you've got an outlet, you can do something good for society, for yourself, that actually contributes, and that's the whole aim of what we're there to do. But in terms of the 4 Ps, it's a very simple concept. Essentially, it's about, and I'm not the first person to come up with this, just to say, the 3 Ps has been talked of a lot by various organisations, and that's people, place, purpose. People, place, purpose. The 4th one we've added to that is positivity, and just kind of briefly run through it. People, for kids, and not just kids, for adults as well, to thrive, they need to be surrounded by good people who motivate them and get the best out of them. They need to be in a beautiful place, not necessarily beautiful, but one that sort of potentially is conducive to them feeling safe and secure, so they're not always under threat, which for lots of our kids is often a problem. You talk about the classroom that Jamie taught in, that was the issue. They didn't feel secure because there wasn't any order in the classroom. You want some sense of calm so they can achieve something. When we bring kids to the countryside, they get that sense of beauty that really matters a huge amount to them. And the other thing is purpose. Everyone needs purpose in life. Whoever you are, you need something to get up for in the morning. And, you know, you talk a lot about people who kind of potentially pass away later on in life. It's often when the purpose is gone, you know, and that's, you know, it's a kind of morbid way of looking at it, but purpose drives human interaction. And the last one I'd say is just something about positivity. You know, everyone on our farms, all of our staff exude this warm positivity, generosity towards the kids. Yeah. And that's probably something that I'd kind of reflect on in this talk in terms of leaders. You need to have that as well. You know, you can't be a moaning, sulking kind of guy, even if you're under huge stress, because actually no one needs that for them to be at their best.
Mark, where these two gents are fascinating is that if they did go down this route, they could have, and I think you've heard my example before, Mark, they could have ended up working for Goldman Sachs or other monosyllabic banks that are available and earn lots of money and drive fast cars and have a. But that's not what they want, and that's what life isn't really about, is it? It's not who dies with the most toys wins. With the likes of Jamie's farm, to actually make that difference and again, we're in this issue with all of these kids just getting sucked into this machine of that prescriptive educational system. And let's not even start on the likes of social media. So to be able to be inspired by this type of methodology is definitely going to better them. Mark, do you see other examples of Jamie's Farm in the UK, or do you think they're a one-off?
Personally, I don't think I've seen any other examples, and I have been. My wife works for the charity, so I have a bit more insight. So yeah, this is for me personally is kind of a unique thing, and I suppose the reason I wanted to do this talking lead is because I can see those synergies in terms of how Jake and Jamie and the fantastic team at all the sites in Jamie's Farm are dealing and treating and trying to get that purpose out of that child, and how that could be reflected in farming teams, which are quite historic and archaic and expected that people fit in one box. So gents,
since your inception in 2009, you've assisted nearly 10,000 young people. Where's this going? What does success look like? That horrible question. What does success look like 5-10 years out? It'd be fascinating to know where you want to go. What's your ambition?
Great question. I'm just going to hijack you for 1 second, just because the insecure farmer in me needs to justify that we are proper working farms as well, because we haven't mentioned that. So, talking to this audience, I just want to make it clear that the vehicle through which we do everything on our farms is real work, real purpose. This farm currently has 1,100 sheep, 100 Aberdeen Angus cattle, wow, a couple hundred pigs. So the vehicle by which we do everything is proper working farms. So as I say, the insecure farmer in me just needed to get that across to this audience, particularly seeing as we're surrounded by pet lambs, which makes it look like a petting zoo, which it's not. So in terms of the future, so in June, you mentioned it earlier, in June, we hit our 10,000th visitor. So that's amazing, actually. When I set out the journey with Mark, there was literally no grand plan. There was just, this seems like a good idea, let's try it. Oh, we're fully booked, let's try and get another farm. Oh, we're fully booked, let's try and get another farm. So there wasn't a kind of major megalomaniac roadmap to getting to where we got to. It was sorry for the pun, but it was organic growth that we went for. Now we're kind of at 5 farms if you include our urban farm. We have to think, maybe a bit more strategically about the future. One of the big things is that we've got a very southern focus, in the UK, and therefore we are launching a farm in Skipton up in Yorkshire, which will be great. There's 7 amazing cities within an hour and a half who really need our help, so that will be a big deal. But also what we're looking at doing is how we can act as a kind of hub for sharing our approach to children, sharing our approach to regenerative farming, and have impact beyond our actual physical sites. So for us, we recognise that we will never solve the problem entirely of kids who are really challenged in these schools, but we look at ways that we can spread our impact through the knowledge, the resources that we have, to a greater extent than just those kids who visit us. But we are still very focused on working with this year 2,000 children, in 2 years when Skipton launches 2,500 children, and potentially taking on other farms to extend that piece, but really looking, in fact we're working bizarrely at the moment with Chanel of all people, to look at Chanel are supporting us in terms of how we spread our approach, because they have some very super bright marketing people who are coming up with ideas on how we share our methodology through the sector.
Well, that's amazing. It's a bit like Ferrari F1 got involved with great Adam Brooks back in the day to help them, because in Formula One, see if I can link this together. In Formula One, you have to do tyre changes really quickly. With Great Ormond Street, you have to do transplants really quickly. And so likewise with yourself, Chanel, with that firepower of selling David Beckham perfume, other perfumes are available to be able to show you. And just on that the strategy side, sometimes I get frustrated that it's bloody hell, guys, it's you two that are doing this. shouldn't we have government support coming in to assist you to take this strategy forward? And there should be a dictate that every school should have a Jamie's Farm visit or collateral or videos coming in? Or do we need to drive societal change? Do we need to get the teachers or the parents of the kids to be, what's that expression, care and share? They pick you up on social media. Oh, by the way, everyone look at Jamie's Farm website, social media. It's fantastic. And then they contact you on social media to get in contact. What do you think? Do you think we need to be dictated by government and the educational system to adopt you, or do we need a soft touch and the schools and the parents coming to you? What do you think, gents?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, we do quite a lot of thinking about this kind of question about where our funding comes from and how we want that to look. But essentially, and it kind of joins up with a point that we're probably going to make later on, which is around autonomy. Essentially, for people to be motivated to really commit and give their all, they need to have some sense that they own what they're doing and have proper decision-making powers over that, you know, and in our staff teams, that's what we try and create for people. You know, no matter where you sit within the organization, there's some sense that you're a leader within it in a certain area and you take real responsibility for that. And similarly, if we ended up being reliant on government funding, then very quickly you kind of, you lose that autonomy and you become sort of slaves to whatever agenda the government might have at the time. Yeah. And actually, one of the things that's been so great about the way that Jamie and Tish founded the organization was that we've had a lot of independence and a lot of autonomy, which means that we're very agile and nimble. You know, we can change things, we can adapt according to our mission, you know, that we're always focused on that. But if we decide that to achieve that mission, we have to do something else, we can do it. We're not beholden to some kind of overlord on some level.
Yeah, but Mark, can you imagine these two sitting in a 4-hour board meeting in some monosyllabic government office in London? It's like, nah, we're off. We've got things to do. We got to shoot. We've got kids coming. What? No, you have to be here. So you guys row your own boat. How can we all help you? Are you open to collaboration? Are you open for other farms wanting to sort of adopt what you've done? And I don't know, it's the wrong words, but on a franchise basis, or to learn from you, or you're a closed shop. How's it work?
Yeah, so I think, like I mentioned, a big agenda for us is sharing our approach either to farming, because we are hopefully doing quite a good job in terms of our regenerative practices around a lot of mob grazing of herbal lays and that kind of thing, planting a lot of hedges, thinking more thoughtfully about reducing our inputs, which is obviously more important than ever, and that kind of thing. So, you know, anyone starting on that journey, we're very, very open to sharing that. In terms of future farms, yeah, absolutely. We would love to support others to do more of this. We're not precious about IP, if you like. So we're very relaxed about and excited about supporting others to do this kind of work, even if it's just learning about some of our approach or taking some confidence that you can safely have children on farms. I think you guys, you know, you were talking earlier about the importance of education and the link between, it's not an explicit aim of ours, if you like, the education of people around farming, but the more and more I've been involved in the industry, the more keenly I feel that we've gone horribly wrong in terms of people's understanding and connection to the land and farming. And there is a major piece in terms of bringing those two groups back together, you know, empathy and understanding on both sides between farmers and the general public. You know, we would like to be part of that, really. And we've always worked very hard to sort of stay apolitical, like we're not judging any group. We span a lot of different worlds, and we really like that. The fact that we're mixing with farmers, we're mixing with urban kids, we're mixing with funders, and we feel that all those groups can kind of collaborate effectively, rather than everyone being in a silo and feeling sort of like those other people are making the mistakes, you know.
Yeah, and don't forget to name Chanel again. I'm expecting Kate Moss to come to wandering behind you. Guys, just go back to the collaboration element again. Have you made mistakes along your journey?
Yeah, I mean, look, you couldn't be, you wouldn't be being honest as a leader or a bloody human, to be frank, if you didn't say that you made mistakes. You hadn't made mistakes, but I think there is a kind of case for kind of owning them and making sure that you learn from them and challenging yourself around that. This is a place. Jamie's Farm is a place where we are always challenging ourselves to be better, always, in every way. And that's top down. That's everybody involved in the charity. It includes the kids. And when you've got that kind of culture, you kind of mentioned strategy before, and there's this famous phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah.
And it's a great phrase, because actually, if you're always pushing yourself around that stuff, then, and that's part of your DNA, part of your culture. If you're always pushing yourself to make sure, one of the things that was a kind of new value of ours that came out of COVID was challenge yourself to achieve every day. That's kind of in our founding DNA that Jamie and Tish started with. That's something that if we all manage that, then you've got a good organization. There are lots of big organizations where, to be honest, 50, 60, 70% of people couldn't say that. And that's totally a real problem.
Yeah. Jake, the reason for bringing in the mistake element of it, and I didn't want to turn it into a therapy session, which it isn't, but it's a bit like mentors are so good with the younger generation because they've made mistakes and they've seen the pitfalls. You've made mistakes. You've had some great wins and great successes. So if there are farms and other businesses who want to learn from you, if you are okay with that, I'm guessing that you'd be able to say, oh no, don't do that. We tried that. Do this, and that potentially would accelerate where they're looking to go from the learnings that you've had along the way. So again, in some areas, or help me, Mark, some areas of agriculture that can be accused of being very siloed. Whilst if we're in such different, interesting times, if we can be very open with each other, we can all share. We're all going to benefit for the long term. Mark.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And the whole piece about making mistakes, whether you're Matthew Said and black box thinking, the only way we learn in life is by making mistakes. So we have to run through those courses to be able to push things forward. And that's what you guys at Jamie's Farm are allowing children to experience and to learn from those pieces in a positive way.
And gents, also presumably on a local basis, you must be positively affecting the local areas of your various farms in a positive manner.
Yeah, I mean, I think well, when we came here, so we bought and launched this farm about 12 years ago. It was very interesting who was welcoming and who wasn't. And actually, the local farmers were the most welcoming. They were keen to collaborate. They loved the idea of these kids getting out of the city. It was more potentially people who'd recently left London who were worried about their house price if
get out of town.
A bunch of reprobates were running around the valley, which we very quickly reassured them that, in fact, there was one person who was worried about it. And I bumped into him 3 months after we'd launched, and he said, have you had any kids yet? And I said, yeah, we've had 12 groups. And he said, oh, right, well, I didn't have anything to worry about. Yeah, but in terms of the local communities, we collaborate a lot with local farmers, whether that's buying and selling straw or hay or sheep or whatever. We also employ at each farm up to 10 local people. So that gives us a kind of lovely connection with the local community. And we're really proud of the fact that we're creating employment in areas where those jobs, wouldn't necessarily otherwise exist. So there's a lot of that. And then we have an amazing band of volunteers at each farm, not least down in Lewis, actually, who come in and help cook or help on the farm or help with the gardens, just, making the flower garden look beautiful so it's welcoming for the kids. We had actually a band of interior designers who did a makeover of the house in Lewis. So 30 people over a weekend, and they all of the bits and bobs they put in there were valued at around £20,000. So we get amazing support, and in a sense, like that kind of all those people behind you just really helps you in this sort of more difficult moments, and not least through COVID, to kind of feel like you can do it, basically.
Yeah. So if you're doing good, by implication, good will come to you. Case in point. And again, if you can keep following that mantra. And the business, as he rightly pulled me up, Jamie, you are a commercial business. Although Jamie's Farmers, that element of it is a charity, you are a commercial business, and to run a commercial business, you need to have strong leadership. Mark is very selective as to who we have on these broadcasts, and he only has the best of the best. He only wants successful leaders. So you guys, by virtue, are deemed as successful leaders. What's coming next? What's the success? What's the success? What are your keys for all of us to learn as to how you run a successful business from where you are today and where you're going to be in the future? What's the magic dust, gents? What's the magic dust?
Jake and my colleague here can give me a nugget.
I mean, kind of as we've sort of said, there isn't a magic nugget, to be honest, because you do keep on making mistakes. I mean, just a couple that kind of sprang to mind when we actually went down to visit another organisation as part of this kind of spreading our approach mission yesterday. So we were in the car a long time and talking it through. The first thing I would say is kind of take responsibility. Take responsibility, but don't try and do everything yourself. And it's a kind of delicate balance between them, as all the best things in life are. But, it's no good having a leader who blames their staff for stuff. Loyalty extends both ways. And actually, if you're not loyal to them, they won't be loyal to you. So that's one thing. I think one of the things that I definitely learned early on the hard way was also trying to do too much yourself and running at 100% all the time means that when a crisis comes along, which is when, to be honest, leaders really earn their cash, you're just not able to respond to that in the way that you need to. And that fourth P, the positivity thing, you're just not going to be able to bring that. You're not going to be able to kind of bring that kind of safety and comfort and support to everybody around you to make sure that they feel kind of well held by you as a leader. So that's a really big one for me, is just kind of keeping a little bit in the tank so that when things do get tough, you're able to kind of come back through and bring the organization through. And to be honest, I think in the pandemic, we did that well. Actually, it was hard. We kind of managed to do that well. But I think the other thing to say that the pandemic really taught us as well, again, the hard way, is there's no replacement for proper personal contact. Even if you run an organization across the country, finding out ways of spreading yourself. And there's a guy who we talk to quite a lot about this, one of our main funders, who's really, really sharp on this. He talks about symbolic leadership. Even though you're kind of running an organization, 50, 100, 200, however many it is, you can't have the same level of relationship with each member of staff as you used to when it was only 5, 6, 10, whatever. But there are moments when you can connect with them in a certain way, and you've got to seize those chances. And I think that when now we're kind of working out a way to do that properly, but it's hard. It's hard. It's not an easy thing, and if anyone thinks it is easy, then they're doing it wrong. Frankly,
I think that's really, really great. Actually, all of that, and the two things that pinged in my mind as you were speaking was I have a friend who actually runs a very large ice cream business locally, and he has this phrase, management by walking around. So, he's just on the ground, he's out and about, he's seeing people, he's doing stuff, but he's just present and interested, which I think is really, really important for your staff. And the other thing that I'm sort of doing a lot of thinking about now that we are spread over 5 sites, is just how you spend your time as a leader. What are the absolutely vital things that you stay involved in, and what are the things that you can step back from? And I haven't got the answer yet by any means, but there have been some things that I've stepped back from, and actually I look at it and think, no, I should have stayed interested, and I should have been more present on that. And I think that's kind of where, Jake and I can kind of use each other to support each other to work out where our time is spent and where the most value can be added, probably.
I remember attending a Cranfield course a number of years ago, and they just had this graph of successful companies and the leadership types. And we all know businesses where the leader is a meddler and won't let go, and everyone gets disenfranchised with that individual in the company. Then that's when you see that churn. And another example I always give is the forklift driver. I remember about 10, 12 years ago visiting a very large fresh produce business, and parked up, and forklift driver was moving some stuff around, and just got talking to him. And I said, "Oh, how's things?" And he said, "Oh, we're about to lose our Tesco account." I said, "Oh, why is that then?" "Oh, because we're uncompetitive. I'm going to have to start looking for another job." Went up to see the MD, and he was so isolated in his ivory tower. He didn't know that they were about to lose the Tesco account, but everyone else did. And to me, that was complete mismanagement, and that company has now long gone because of that mismanagement. So go back to that point, gents, that you were saying about walking the floor, is so important. But then if where you've now got the positive difficulty is that because you're a multi-site business, as you intimated, when you get over what's the example from BT? When you get over 500 plus employees on different sites, it is such a difficult thing to then manage. The previous CEO of Pizza Express always gave the example that with 250 units, as was in the UK, the biggest issue that they had was the first person you ever met was someone who was on minimum wage, who perhaps didn't want to be there, because they had schoolwork or they wanted to get back to the kids. But how do you culturally get that person pumped up to smile and be the ambassador, the advocate for Pizza Express, and people enjoy the meal and come back again? Mark, you must have seen lots of examples in your life, especially within agriculture, of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, in huge amounts. And just sitting back listening, which is very much my style, there's a couple of really good examples. So whether you're a football fan or not, Sir Alex Ferguson, awesome example of actually those touch points with the junior members of the team. So he always used to take, and you can, Gary Neville will vouch this, the very new juvenile players that were coming up into the first squad, he would personally take them to the squad, that he had that one-to-one contact, which might have only been in the car for an hour or 2 hours. They would be in the squad, but they would never play. But they started to learn the culture of what he expected. And yesterday, for example, I was with the CEO of Cook, so the posh frozen food company, which we love at home. What an interesting story of a business that's gone from a family outlet to over £100 million business in 10 years. And their philosophy is around culture, communication, and keeping stuff simple. So ensuring that people understand the vision and the mission of the business without being in a telephone directory document, but actually ensuring people are all invested and bought into where the direction of the business is going. And
guys, there's that expression. There's no I in team. You've got two leaders within your business, Jamie's Farm. Does that, it's pretty unusual. Does that work for you? Do you think this has given you a unique ability to take the business further forward, or is it a complete buggerment seeing each other on a Monday morning?
Shall I start? Well, I mean, it was a big decision to make Jake co-CEO, not least because the arrogant bugger I am, I'd named the charity after myself. So sort of anyone would think that this was a ridiculous decision. But I think basically when Jake joined, his commitment, passion, alignment, drive to me kind of meant that I suddenly felt a huge relief actually about the future of the charity. And Jake recently had his 10-year anniversary, and we had a sort of a very emotional, slightly alcohol-fueled speech that I gave, and I said that the key really with Jake was that he acted like a founder, and he cared like a founder, and he embodied what my mum and I had hoped to set up really. So if anything, it just feels like it's a huge relief and gives us great resilience, and it also just share some of that pressure, and also a decent sounding board. They always say overused phrase, but it's lonely at the top. There are times through this journey where I felt seriously isolated and lonely, but to have someone I respect and trust to go to is really, really important, I think.
And the point is, if you have single points of failure, I mean, it kind of makes sense. You don't want a single point of failure, to be honest. You want to spread some of that load. I think there is a risk if you, if the relationship breaks down, you start to blame each other, or, you're kind of not careful, suddenly things fall in between you, those kind of things. Again, people not taking responsibility. But I don't think that's going to happen with me and Jamie, because firstly, we've got huge respect, trust, and there's a real bond between us, but also we both care so much that I don't think we will drop, I don't think it will happen that way necessarily, but yeah, it's an interesting model, and we'll see. We've only been doing it 6 months. We'll see how it goes.
Jake, what is Jamie fantastic at?
Well, I mean, we actually did a very good session, and it's actually a good it's a good thing to do, to say at this, because other people might choose to do it, but we did it with our sort of broader leadership team. We basically gave them all something to talk about that they themselves are really strong in terms of management and leading. And we did it ourselves. And the thing that I thought Jamie really needed to talk, there was a couple of things, but the one that I really always talk about is vision. He's had the vision there from the absolute outset, and he's never wavered from that. And I just think that's such a powerful thing for a leader to be, is not, particularly in the charity sector, you get tempted this way and that because people with money will say, oh, come and do this. This is really funky, and there are various other new kind of sexy, it was the wrong term to use, but new groups that come up that you should be supporting. But Jamie's held on to that vision. And also, it's not just the kind of vision of what we want to achieve, but how we want to do it. So that kind of, and some of that's tough. Some of that's saying, no, we're not going to get lazy around this. We're going to have high standards. Our farms need to be neat and tidy and ordered. Our animals need to have the highest standards of animal welfare. These kind of little things that make a real difference. He's got really high expectations for, which is, it's just really crucial, I think, in the leader to respect.
God, that Jake is mustard, isn't he? Jamie, what is Jake fantastic at?
Jake is good. Well, a number of things. If I had to pinpoint one, I think it's passion. And it is totally infectious, his passion for what we do, for supporting young people, the energy that he brings when he's with our teams, with young people, with funders, is infectious, and they follow. So, if you're demonstrating every day that you absolutely love this organization, believe in it, and want to make it happen, then people will follow. And I think that passion has been one of the major things that meant that Jake got the recent promotion, really.
I love both of the two of you, the way that you described your leadership and the business. There's been no talk about process and systems. 360 reviews, weekly, monthly appraisals, or any of that. And they serve a purpose, but they serve a purpose for monosyllabic businesses that people stay in for 18 months and then bounce on to the next one, and they just get into a rut. Whilst I can imagine working for you two, it would be a hell of an enjoyable ride. What do you think, Mark?
Oh no, it'd be absolutely.
Well, your wife works there, Mark. You must know this better than.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that kind of positivity and that ownership, and that real factor, which, speaking from my personal experience and my wife, it's how she's made a difference that week to whether it's 1, 2, however many people's lives, and that's really powerful stuff. And that's really, really powerful stuff.
So Jen, sorry. Go.
The other thing that I walked out of a meeting with a bunch of builders and architects once, and I giggled. This was in the early days. I giggled to the project manager that I was with. God, I said that was fun. It didn't feel like work at all. And his phrase was, well, it should never feel like work. You're not effective if it really feels like work. And I think I've sort of taken that on, really, in that every day at work should be fun, no matter what task you're doing, however dull it is. There should be ways of peppering it with moments of fun, for joking with colleagues, kind of, all of that stuff. That doesn't mean that you have to take away rigor, or you have to take away kind of high expectations or accountability, but you can still have a lot of fun in what you're doing. And if anything, I'd say you'd be infinitely more effective if you are.
Great. I just had a question in on WhatsApp. These guys are fantastic, true leaders of the sector. When was the last time they both wore a tie?
That's a good question.
I think as a metaphorical question. Don't.
Yeah, their wedding last summer. No, they. Well, actually, I'm going to attempt to schmooze some corporates in London on Wednesday next week. So I will be donning the suit and tie for the first time in about a year, probably. But yeah.
Excellent. Jake, make sure you stuff some hay down the back of his suit.
All of our good, certainly mine. All of our good clothes get ruined because you kind of. There's a great photo of Jamie delivering is it a lamb or a calf?
Carving a cow.
Carving a cow. Just in his finest suit, having just got back or just about to go to London. I was
about to go to London, unfortunately.
So that was covered in a bit more than just straw, I think.
Yeah. Gents, if we could encapsulate all you guys, I don't know, Mark, if we could put them through the photocopier and have them planted all around the country, and also internationally, the good that they would do. The feeling of positivity that they would bring into the sectors. So here comes we're slightly running out of time. Just go for this big question that's been set to me by the team. What are the key take-home messages for our audience, taking the learnings from the Jamie's Farm approach to fostering positive change in young people's life? What can be embedded on UK farms and farming businesses? And just a caveat of that, I'm definitely picking up now that so many UK farming businesses who were just commercial businesses, they now want to engage with children, and they, not just from the local area, but also regenerative agriculture. It's almost like they've learned from you. They want to be commercial, but they also want to do good by local society and society as a whole, and also to go down the regenerative, sustainable agricultural route. Gents, what's the answer? What would your advice be to those sorts of farms, businesses that want to take your approach, please?
I think if there's one element that I think is really important that runs throughout leadership in an organization, so not just the person at the top, but the other layers of leadership, it's showing that you actually care to your staff, right? So one thing that I've often thought is that people would find me an absolute pain because I wander around looking at stuff all the time and I notice things. Actually, a lot of our staff have fed back that they really like that. And what they really like, if they've had a really dull day of pressure washing a pig shed or whatever it is that I go at the end of the day and I look and I say, thank you very much, that's an amazing job. So I think just showing that you care to your staff is really important, but that extends out to your community, because it doesn't take much for a business to occasionally open their doors to the local community, to offer I don't know, silly things like an auction prize in a local auction, to do small things that prove that you care externally as well. Doesn't cost you a lot, but it really changes the mentality and focus of the business in a way that does not have to negatively, but should positively affect the bottom line, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I'd add, go on, sorry.
Go, Jake, go. Go, Jake, go.
No, I think just to add to that, because I think it's exactly the right point. And the only thing I'd add is just care for the long term as well as the short term. So actually, I think a lot of the time, people, and I think my sense is farming has quite a lot of this, because farmers often work incredibly hard, in often very kind of claustrophobic environments. Just doing the job, and in the short term making it happen, that the opportunity for stepping back and seeing the broader picture and the long term is sometimes minimized. And actually, in terms of this regenerative stuff and what we try and do both for kids and for the land that we're working on, is working it out that actually an investment now is going to help. It may cost a bit now, but in the long term it'll be good for everyone. Similarly with kids, we let these kids down, not just are their lives going to be affected, but actually it's intergenerational. It'll be their kids and their kids beyond that. We can't just cast them out and think that you can forget about them. Let's invest in them now.
Excellent. My team have just messaged me, Max, give the Chris Evans example. So Chris Evans, the DJ that we all know, in his autobiography, he talks about when he took over Virgin Radio, and he had an open door policy. But then, as he said, it turned into a nightmare, because everyone will be coming in moaning about their cousin's bad ankle, or someone having a breakup. With the complexity of your business and the way it's growing, how do you get round that? You do want to have that open door scenario, but at some point you've got to stop. You can't morph into their social life. You can't you can't be their friend. You've got to be their boss sometimes. How do you get around that one?
Yeah, I mean that's like a massively important point, and never has that been as difficult as during COVID, when everyone's personal situations were massively challenging, but we still had a mission to deliver, you know, and I think that's been the most difficult time we've ever had with that balance. But Jake, I'll let Jake talk about our kind of mantra around management, which is relationships and rigor.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's a balance. You know, you talk about the relationships. The point you said, you can't just be their friend, and that's something that Jamie and I are kind of learning almost the hard way, really, because we want to have fun times with our staff. We want to have really good parties where you sort of kind of get that energy. And post-COVID, that's been a big thing for us, is kind of getting people together for summer parties or Christmas parties or away days when everybody can get that sort of sense of belonging and joy from each other. But it's also kind of recognizing and being a bit of a grown-up and saying that doesn't always have to come from us. We don't have to be the ones, we sometimes are still, but we don't always have to be the ones up till 4 a.m. with everybody. You know, other people can do some of that, and that's a sign of a healthy organization. And actually, we're lucky because essentially what we take to the kids is what we want all of our staff to embody as well. And this kind of idea of relationships of rigor. Through close relationships, you can expect more of people, both, you know, kids and the staff that you're working with. If you've got a good relationship with someone you're managing, you can push them harder in terms of getting their output higher and the quality of their work higher, because they want to work for you. You know, there's that stat, you know, why do most people leave organizations? Because of their relationship with their line manager. That's the thing that matters most. Yep. And actually, that's the thing that we see well-being. We don't go easy on kids because they're feeling low. You know, we want them to work hard. We don't say to our staff, oh, yeah, just have lots of time off because you're feeling low. We say, come on in, we'll support you, you know, and actually you'll feel better as a result. Just sitting on the sidelines doesn't make anyone feel good, you know? So it's that kind of balance that actually, you know, it's this classic thing. Jamie and Tish had it from the very beginning. A key part of Jamie's farming, that's why the farming is so vital as a vehicle, is with farming, you have to get up in the morning, you have to feed the animals, you have to muck them out, you have to achieve even before breakfast. And that's something that actually everybody can kind of feel really proud about, you know?
Yeah, and I suppose we've all got our examples of that. I did 5 years of wild oating around Lewis, and it was in some ways the making of me, because I just got used to getting up and doing a repetitive job, but I was earning, so I could afford my first car. Mark, I'm sure you're exactly the same on Frisians. Other varieties are available, but that's the great thing. That's the great thing about agriculture, isn't it? Sometimes you need that routine, because life isn't exciting. Sometimes you have to go through that process to get to where you want to. It's not. We're not all living in an Instagram generation where everything happens all at once. There is a lot of hard work, but it can be very enjoyable. Mark, over to you to wrap up.
Yeah, no, what a really great conversation. And I think that the key points that I've pulled from it is, well, life is built around relationships, whatever you do, whether it's at work, whether it's in your personal life, but that's providing a purpose, which is definitely the driver in my life. Purpose, that positivity, whether that be caring for your staff, whether that just saying hello in the morning and just giving that well done for that was really, really good, is massively important. But also maintaining that robust rigor that we don't go to work to make friends, we go to work to work and push forward, and yeah, really, really good. So some real great insights there that we can take from that positive change of young people actually into managing agricultural teams. So thank you very much.
Mark, do you want to just mention Agri Leadership Week as well?
Yeah, we mustn't forget hashtag Agri Leadership Week this week, which is a great success, where we're just trying to get the industry to delve into developing themselves from a leadership and management perspective, which is an area that we're not doing, and is greatly needed with the major mega trends and the challenges that the industry faces moving forward. So yeah, if you're tweeting social media, hashtag Agri Leadership Week.
Sorry, Mark, we need Jamie and Jake as our one of the brand ambassadors for Agri Leadership Week for this year and for next year. And Jen, so over to yourself, Jamie and Jake. Is there anything that you want to say to sign off before I make you an offer that's just coming on WhatsApp for you?
Well, that's exciting. No, I mean, just a really, really vibrant conversation. Thank you both for having us along. It's been great fun. And I'd also say, just for us, there's always, you know, when you reflect on these things, it helps you to understand them better. So we're really grateful for your great questions and insights from you guys.
Excellent. Okay, so my offer's just come in. There's a lady that's very keen to send you both a couple of ties of your choice. Is that okay if she sends you a couple of ties?
We promised to wear them.
Yeah, okay, but the catch is you got to wear them naked, because she wants you to both appear in the Naked Farming Calendar for 2023 for a particular charity. Which is that okay, gentlemen?
We're on.
Hey!
You'd have him. I think I'm an old dad now, but anyway.
Mark, the hysterical thing is this lady, who I know very well, hasn't invited you or me. We're the host of this damn thing. Why is it the guests that always get the gigs, Mark?
Mark has the best sideburns of anyone I know. I think he needs to be in that calendar.
Yeah, Mark just shows his sideburns. He didn't know this was going to get. Look at that. Well, Mark, let's see if we can get you a tie. Let's see if we can make you Mr. June 2023 on this calendar, because Jake and Jamie are going to be Mr. and Mr. on May 2023. Everyone, thank you very much. It's been another great outing for the AHDB Agri Leader series. Oh, quickly, Jamie's Farm. How do we engage with you? How do you find pump us all up and pump our ties up? How do we find you on social media, guys?
Yeah, so just look for Jamie's Farm. We're there. You know, any support that anyone can offer financially would be amazing. We have to fundraise 1.7 million pounds. That's why I look so old this year, to keep the thing going. Yeah, get in touch via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. There's loads of lovely images of all that's happening on our farms today on all those channels. So yeah, please do have a look at us.
Excellent. Gentlemen, fantastic. Well done. We'll see you at the next outing. Mark, thank you very much. Thank you for your time, everyone.
We'll see you next month. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.